I would say that this will bring our journey through Lego Star Wars to an end, but that's not quite right, and I'll talk more about that after this title crawl. Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, Chapter 1, Jabba's Palace. Luke Skywalker's return to his home planet Tatooine to attempt to rescue his friend Han Solo from the clutches of the vile gangster Jabba the Hutt. Little does Luke know that the Galactic Empire has secretly begun construction on a new armored space station, even more powerful than the first rated Death Star. When completed, his ultimate weapon will spell certain doom for the small band of rebels struggling to restore freedom to the galaxy. So, when I say that this will not be the end of our Lego Star Wars journey, what I mean by that specifically is that we are not going to be getting through all of Return of the Jedi today. This is a bit of a long episode. I like this little bit right here where Vader reprimands that officer, and then he goes and falls on his buddy for comfort. We will be doing the first 3 chapters of Return of the Jedi today because of the length of this episode. And sometimes my schedule allows me to do longer episodes, or longer videos rather. You know, I've done 2-hour videos, 3-hour videos, but I do not have that kind of time at the moment, so we will do the first half today, and we will return to finish Return of the Jedi another time. And I'll probably, whenever we do that, I will also stitch together the 2 halves and release a single video that has both halves in it. But in a broader sense, we're also not done with Lego Star Wars, because I will definitely be returning to Lego Star Wars in some way. I have had requests for Lego Star Wars 3 and the Skywalker saga, so we'll definitely see those. I was also thinking of doing an episode of this, the complete collection, where we look at the bonus content. There's a whole room of bonus missions and stuff, so. But who knows, who knows? We will figure that stuff out as it comes down the line. So here we are as Princess Leia with her Bush helmet on. And of course, she disguises herself as the bounty hunter Bush to sneak into Jabba's palace in her attempt to rescue Han. Who is Bush, anyways? Also, we have reconnected with Luke here in his very fashionable, very classic Return of the Jedi black suit outfit. But yeah, who is Bush? I know about Boosh is that they're the bounty hunter that Leia disguises herself as, but I mean, are they like a real person? They're not like a fake identity, right? You know, I assume they were a real bounty hunter that Leia took the armor of. Is Boosh one of the bounty hunters that Vader hires? I'm trying to remember the lineup there. I don't think Boosh is one of them. Is there Boosh lore? By the way, I love how Chewbacca wears helmets there. They don't fit over his head, so they're kind of cocked on the side like that. But yeah, have we, in the decades since this movie came out and we've had massive amounts of Star Wars expanded universe lore, have we gotten, 3 novel series about the adventures of Boosh? Boosh's family, Boosh's dreams, Boosh's fears, Boosh's traumatic childhood memories that shaped Boosh into the bounty hunter that he is today. If he was real, did Leia kill him? Is there no more Boosh? Boosh, Boosh, Boosh. In one of my earlier videos, I did Jedi Master trigger names. What if we did some Star Wars bounty hunter trigger names? Boosh, 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 Boosh. Boosh, 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 Boosh. Boosh, 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 Boosh. That's pretty relaxing, I think. Boosh, 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 boosh. But let's try some other bounty hunters. Of course, we have the most famous one of all, Boba Fett. 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 Boba Fett, Boba Fett, Boba Fett, Boba Fett. Or his dad, Jango Fett, 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 Jango Fett. I don't like that one as much. I prefer Boba Fett. Boba Fett. Boba Fett. If we're tier ranking the bounty hunter names as trigger words for ASMR, Boba Fett's gotta go higher than Jango Fett. Jango Fett. Ja, ja, ja. I feel like you don't hear many J's in trigger words. course, we also have some other options. We have Bosk, 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 There's a lot of B names here, aren't there? Bush, Boba Fett, Bosk, Bush, Boba, Bosk, Bush, Boba, Bosk, Bush, Boba, Bosk. We have IG-88. That's a mouthful compared to the other ones. IG-88, 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 IG-88. Who else? We have Dengar, of course. Dengar, Dengar, Dengar. Dengar, Dengar. Dengar, 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 Dengar. Dengar, Dengar, Dengar. Dengar, Dengar, Dengar. Dengar, Dengar, Dengar. The guy that looks like he looks like a big mummy. He's all wrapped up in toilet paper. Oh yeah, he was one of my favorite villain heroes from Star Wars Battlefront 2015. Playing as Dengar, I really enjoyed playing as Dengar. He could charge forward and throw sticky bombs at everybody around him. Or he could charge forward and swing his gun as a club. Or he could activate rapid fire on his gun and unleash a barrage of deadly blaster bolts. Dengar, Dengar. Of course, there's another bounty hunter we all know, Greedo, the Rhodian that Han famously shot first. And then that sparked a whole, it's one of the flashpoints of, this is something that I think younger Star Wars fans don't always understand. They see George Lucas as the guy, right? I think in the era of Disney, where Star Wars has fallen so far, and Disney's stewardship of Star Wars is much maligned. There has become a romanticization of George Lucas as the guy who really knew Star Wars. mean, obviously he made it, right? You know, George Lucas would never do all the bad stuff that Disney is doing. And to be clear, I have a lot of respect for George Lucas. But yeah, I don't think people, younger fans of Star Wars, quite understand how much older Star Wars fans, how do I put this? Dislike is a strong word, but like, I don't think they understand the issues that older fans have with George Lucas. Because in an era of Disney, George Lucas just seems like the guy who could do no wrong. But the amount of changes that George made to the original movies, the special editions, trying to scrub the original movies from existence, basically. He earned a lot of animosity with, those older Star Wars fans. And then, of course, that's not even getting into the prequels, which obviously were hated by most, or by a lot of Star Wars fans at the time. And it was sort of widely seen that George Lucas had pretty majorly dropped the ball on the prequels. But nowadays, in an era of, the rise of Skywalker, and, the Book of Boba Fett, George Lucas, it's understandable why people would look to him as like a source of, trust, right? Like, oh, that's the guy that he really knew how to make good Star Wars stuff. But it's a bit more complicated than that, I guess. Anyway, we have a new title crawl here. Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, Chapter 2, The Great Bit of Carcoon, where a continuously new Death Star in the future of the galaxy appears increasingly bleak. On Tatooine, Luke Skywalker is in the grip of Jabba the Hutt, along with Han Solo, Chewbacca, and Princess Leia. Jabba takes his prisoners across the Tatooine dunes to the Great Bit of Carcoon, where he plans to defeat the fearsome Sarlacc beast. But even with backup from Boba Fett, Jabba has severely underestimated the powers of a Jedi. There's Princess Leia in her Jabba bikini. Jabba's I don't know, it's a funny thing, Does a giant slug man find a human woman attractive? Apparently, in this situation, I guess, Jabba's got a thing for human ladies. But, it's like you imagine that, a human, I'm not attracted to a giant slug woman. Or, well, listen, I shouldn't be too hasty, okay? If, I'd have to see the giant slug woman first. Maybe she's got a certain allure, who knows? I shouldn't speak out of turn. Also, I know there's a lot of people out there that would absolutely love a giant slug woman. And, more power to them. So, you know what, actually, as I'm reflecting on it more, it's really not unusual for Jabba to have the hots for Princess Leia, because I think about the things that people, on planet Earth are attracted to. And I guess that's not surprising. I have a friend who is very into reading, but like specifically book talk, right? I'm not on TikTok, but my understanding is there's a sort of culture on TikTok called book talk, and it is, for people who are interested in books, but my understanding is it's also kind of like a specific type of, well, I'm sure it's a very wide range on book talk, to be clear. I'm sure you could find lots of niches within that group, but my understanding is there's kind of a thread of romance novels and fantasy and stuff. Fantasy in a romantic way. So anyway, I have been talking to this friend of mine because she came up here for a bit. She is staying in town, and we end up going to the same places a lot, and so we often drive together for a while, and I've been talking to her, and so that's a lot of unnecessary preamble. What I'm trying to say is that she was telling me about her, I don't know, people that she follows or, friends that she has in this community, but she was telling me about some of the stuff that they were into, some of the types of romance books that they were reading, and I have to be honest, I thought that I was up to date on the tastes of the internet, I guess, let's say. I thought that I sort of couldn't be surprised by the stuff that people were into. I've lived on the internet for a large portion of my life. I know the score. I'm not gonna be surprised that people wanna, boink a werewolf. I get it. People think werewolves are hot. That's not unusual to me. So I'm not surprised by stuff like that, and I kind of thought that I couldn't be surprised anymore, but my friend was telling me about some of the sort of subgenres or whatever, and she was telling me about animated objects, I guess. That there's this genre of inanimate objects that are the subjects of a romance story. So, she was giving examples of some of these books, and it was stuff like a pillow or a jack-o'-lantern, and I was like, okay, so, but you mean that it's a witch transmutes the jack-o'-lantern, and then, it's just a really hot guy with a ripped body, but he just has a jack-o'-lantern head or something like that. Because I could understand that. Like, that's still, like, normal, you know? They're just putting a funny head on a hot dude. But she was like, no, it's just a jack-o'-lantern. It's just a pillow. It's like a sentient pillow, I guess, that the characters in these books are forming relationships with, of both I guess an emotional and a sexual nature. And I was stunned. I really could not, I just can't quite wrap my head around that one. Because, like, what are you even... I don't know, man, it's a pillow. Like, what are you attracted to? What is the fantasy there that you are fulfilling by dating a pillow? And I guess I did sort of see this notion appear because some months ago that game came out. Date Everything, right? And I saw that game and I knew that it was like go around your house. It was a dating sim, and you could go around your house and date your couch or date your washing machine or whatever. But the thing there was that wasn't weird to me, because I thought that it was just like a comedy game. And also, it wasn't weird to me that people were attracted to the characters because you weren't literally dating your washing machine. It transformed into like a hot person that was sort of washing machine themed, right? Like, you know, you would date your, I don't know, a padlock, and then it would be some, like, dominatrix, like, I'm gonna put you in a chess cage or something. I don't know. I didn't play the game, so I don't know what people were getting up to in it, but, it was basically just dating people, right? But with the funny flavor of, oh, these were originally objects in your house. But I'm beginning to feel as though maybe that game was sort of a joking reference to actual inanimate object dating novels or whatever. And maybe I just wasn't in on the joke, or I didn't fully understand that. But anyway, yeah, my friend was telling me some more stuff, and I was pretty shocked. She was talking about, like, okay, you know, maybe I shouldn't even go into this. There's some stuff that gets even kind of nastier, but anyway, here's Princess Leia killing Jabba the Hutt. There we go. There we go. Well deserved. Well deserved. If anybody takes you prisoner and forces you to wear a metal bikini, I think you have permission to choke them out. Yeah, sometimes I get on the mic and I just start, like, rambling about things that maybe I shouldn't ramble about, but I think in this case I should probably not talk about the other kinds of books that I found shocking, because they go into topics that are not not appropriate, I guess. But not just not appropriate, but like in a really big, crazy way. So romance books of a very unusual nature, I will just say I was not familiar with your game. I thought that I sort of understood the range of things that people could be attracted to or have fantasies about. But it's a wonderful thing, you know, you learn more every day, and it's a beautiful world full of all sorts of diverse and interesting people, and what a gift that I get to learn about them. So, if you are out there, if any of you are reading a book about dating your, like, Ottoman, more power to you, you know. I hope that you're having just a great time imagining smooching your footstool. So anyway, we are, of course, on the sail barge now, and with Jabba dead, we are fighting to make our escape. So, I did play this mission, I think maybe on my first Lego Star Wars video I did, which I think was my very first Lego video. I can't remember. I think this was the first one. I think I started with some Return of the Jedi. So we have played this before, but now it's different because it's part of an actual series to go through all of the complete collection, and we're actually going to finish Return of the Jedi this time, so we have a little bridge so we can go up top here. And now we need to go shoot those exposed, like, power core things. Yawn. I think I've mentioned this before, but recently there's been a lot of work going on in the floor above me in the apartment. I don't know exactly what's going on. Someone's doing a lot of sawing and drilling and hammering and stuff, so they're doing that at the normal times that I like to record, and there's also some other times that I just can't record because of other regularly scheduled noises, you might say. Certain times of day or the week that loud things happen. Title crawl time. Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, Chapter 3, Speeder Showdown. The Rebel Alliance has learned of the new Death Star and launches a daring plan to destroy this evil weapon before its construction can be completed. The Rebel fleet is ready for an assault, and a small strike unit lands on the nearby forest moon of Endor. Led by Luke Skywalker and Han Solo, their mission is to destroy the ship generator which protects the deadly Imperial space station. I think you'll find the station fully operational. So here we are on Endor, or pardon me, the forest moon of Endor, with Luke and Leia in their forest garb. The scout trooper has been alerted by Luke tripping on his face. begin our, this is kind of a vehicle-based level, but with some, well, it's sort of half and half. There's some vehicle sections, and there's a lot of, like on-foot sections as well. So anyway, I think I was saying that I'm kind of tired because I have to record at night now, and actually it's past bedtime, and I'm hearing some thumping from the floors above me, so I don't know who's up there stomping around, but you should be asleep, alright? This is an hour for sleeping, So, this is kind of a repetitive mission. You chase down some speeders, you blow them up, and then you do a little ground segment where you have to blow up a little generator thing. And you just do that a few times. But yeah, then you have this, you're just going on kind of a loop course here. There's just a circle, and for a while here, I was just crashing into the trees over and over again, not realizing that that was actually hurting me. I was thinking of the, like, pod racing level from Phantom Menace, where you want to smash into the Lego stuff. You smash into the crystals and the little towers and stuff, because when you hit them, it gives you studs. But on Endor, crashing into the trees just deals damage to you, so it is unwise. So now we do a little ground segment where we have to destroy that generator off in the corner. So we will commandeer this ATST. Kaboom, kaboom. Let's see, of course there's Sam Wessel, that's another bounty hunter. Sam Wessel. Not a very good one, is it? Sam Wessel. There is, Aura Singh. Also not a very good one. Aura Singh. Yeah. Those are both pretty low tier on the bounty hunter names as trigger words list. to them, take care of them all. Listen, I don't think that in real life I could have been a speeder bike pilot on the forest moon of Endor. Okay? You know how fast they were just whipping through the trees? They were going so fast, and they were not on roads, man. Like, they were just going through a whole ass forest with trees everywhere. Trees everywhere. Like, I would have broken my neck after like half a second of driving around on my speeder bike. That's a sad fact, okay? I'm not a bad driver. I'm a good driver. I've been in one accident in my life, and it wasn't my fault, okay? I had the right of way. They came flying out of a parking lot. I braked and tried to avoid them. And listen, I'm a good driver, okay? I avoided a much more serious collision. We only ended up with some superficial damage to our cars. Well, not superficial, I mean not like literally superficial. The cars were both drivable. But there was definitely some repairs to be done. But anyway, point is, I'm an okay driver. But this Endor stuff, alright, the speeds that those bikes are going in that movie, it's like trying to drive through the redwoods, you know? And there's no paths or anything. I would have been a pancake against a big tree. Immediately. A bunch of Ewoks would have had to peel me off. Bet some of you freaks out there are reading Ewok romance novels, aren't you? I'm just kidding, I don't mean to call you freaks. Or I mean, I did mean it, but... Sorry, I did mean to say it, but I don't mean it. It's a joke. I don't hate you. So we have some more stormtroopers here. I think this is our last little shield generator thing that we have to destroy. But, where will we find the ATSD to do it? We'll have to figure that out. We'll have to look around. I think this has kind of a fun map design. A bit of a creative one where they have this loop, this circle of a map, and you keep going through the entire map on your speeder bike. But then they have a couple sections of that loop that are, you're going to revisit on foot. And so we kept on driving over, for instance, this little gap here, this little ravine, on the speeder bikes. And, and now we get to, cross over it on foot. There was a little bridge that we kept seeing on the speeder bike. And then we eventually got to walk over that bridge. So, I think it's kind of a fun, builds anticipation, I guess, or not anticipation, just, cohesion or something. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that you get to see something for a while, and then later you get to interact with it directly, which is kind of a satisfying way of structuring a game or, a movie or whatever, right? You show something early in the story, and then when it appears later, there's sort of a payoff. There's a sense of satisfaction, I guess. But yeah, I'm sleepy. I'm sleepy. I hope that you're sleepy too. Or rather, I hope that if you are sleepy, that you are asleep by now. That doesn't make sense either. I hope that if you were sleepy when you started this video, and that you wanted to fall asleep, I hope that this video has helped you fall asleep. And if you are using this video to like focus or something, then I'm sorry for my increasingly inane rambling as my eyelids get heavier and heavier. I might fall asleep recording an ASMR video. That would be kind of fun, wouldn't it? Just leave it all in. I'm talking and then I kind of start to slur my words and I fade off. And the breaths get longer and heavier. All of a sudden I'm snoring into the microphone. I was trying to figure out how to do a snore sound quietly. I didn't really crack that puzzle. I basically just breathed. Just making myself laugh, imagining me just like snoring at full volume with like a loud ass snore, and then leaving that in. There's something so funny to me, and I would never do this. Because this would be like, this is a horrible asshole thing to do, but I have to admit that I find it's such a funny concept, such a funny idea to imagine a person making an ASMR video, some ASMR YouTube channel, and then like 45 minutes into the video or something, they just start screaming, just like screaming bloody murder. They're like, I'm being stabbed to death or something. Or they're like, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. And they're screaming their heads off, wake up, wake up. Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, Chapter 4, The Battle of Endor. As the Rebel fleet draws closer to the Death Star, Luke Skywalker has turned himself over to Imperial forces and heads to the Death Star for a final confrontation with Darth Vader. The commando team, led by Han Solo, makes its way towards the Imperial shield generator on Endor. But the Rebel forces are lured into a trap. Although it appears incomplete, the Death Star is already fully functional, and a deadly surprise lies in wait for the intrepid Rebel strike team. So, here we are, back on Endor, and our heroes meet up with the Ewoks. I believe in the last episode we talked a little bit about the many issues that older Star Wars fans have with George Lucas. And certainly one of the issues that's brought up a lot is the presence of Ewoks So, a lot of the stuff that was more appealing to children certainly had an appeal for me. I didn't mind goofy little furball characters. So in the first half of Return of the Jedi, we saw Luke, Chewbacca, and Princess Leia, and of course our two droid heroes, break into Jabba's palace to rescue Han Solo. Princess Leia killed the vile slug-like gang boss. Have you guys seen the interviews with Diego Luna, who plays Cassian Andor in the Star Wars universe? Have you seen the compilations of him talking about how much he wants to touch Jabba the Hutt? It is very funny. He's always like, "Don't you want to touch Jabba? I want to know what Jabba feels like. What is the texture of his skin?" And there's a compilation you can find of just interview after interview where Diego fantasizes about, getting hands-on with the Hutt Lord himself. I don't think he ever actually got to touch Jabba as much as he might have wanted to. Which is a sad thing, a very sad thing. So, we have Wicket here with us as our Ewok character who can crawl through vents that only short characters can go through. I'm just locking onto my teammates here and beating the crap out of the droids, which is not appropriate, very rude of me to do. And we are up in the Ewok tree forts. This is making me think of Star Wars Battlefront 2. Specifically the one from 2017, but also the one from 2005 has a game mode called Hunt. And in that you play as stormtroopers versus Ewoks. And in the 2017 version of Battlefront 2, they sort of modified that game mode. It's called Ewok Hunt, and it's a lot of fun. You are on Endor at night with nothing but the flashlight on your blaster, and you are locked into first person, and you are playing as a stormtrooper. And I think one or two players are randomly selected at the beginning of the match to play as Ewoks. And the Ewoks can see much better in the dark. And they run around and try to kill the stormtroopers. And any stormtrooper player that is killed becomes Ewoks can respawn infinitely, so it's this high tension sort of horror game almost where you have no mini-map, none of the sort of normal benefits that you would have in a game like Battlefront. And you're just being hunted by the Ewoks in the dark. I played a fair amount of that game mode with my friends, and that was always a lot of fun. Especially with no minimap, you know, you try to sort of find each other by referencing the landmarks. You'd say like, oh, I'm over by the, the fallen ATSD that's on fire or whatever. And you would try to link up in the dark, and players would, stormtroopers would gravitate towards each other, stay together for safety. And after a certain time period, a shuttle would arrive to evacuate the stormtroopers, and they would have to run across the map and get to the shuttle without being killed by the Ewoks. More often than not, in my experience, the Ewoks would win this game mode. It was pretty difficult to make it to the shuttle, to survive that long, and then safely make it to the shuttle pickup area without being cut down by the monstrous little teddy bears. So, that game mode has colored how I think of the Ewoks. They certainly seem cute and harmless. I mean, in the movies you see their ingenuity and their bravery and all that, but that Ewok hunt game mode really makes them pretty terrifying. You actually feel scared of the Ewoks, which is not something you would expect just by watching the movie. George Lucas certainly loves his cute little alien creatures that kids are gonna love. You have the Ewoks, and you have Jar Jar Binks. That was something that he said. I forget if he was talking to Dave Filoni or maybe some creative executive at Disney after he sold the rights, but his sort of parting message was, remember, Star Wars is for 12-year-old boys. And I certainly don't think he means that in the sense of Star Wars can't be enjoyed by adults, The whole prequel trilogy is very adult-oriented in a lot of its themes. That's sort of the fatal flaw of the prequels, isn't it? For a lot of people, anyways. A lot of people really hate all of the political stuff in the prequels. Personally, I don't don't mind it. I enjoy that stuff. I enjoy a bureaucratic drama and a political drama. That's part of the reason why I really like the show Endor. But it's fair to say that the prequel trilogy has a bit of an identity crisis with that stuff. One minute you're watching Jar Jar Binks do some slapstick comedy, and the next minute you're listening to some negotiations about trade route blockades or whatever. Again, I have talked before about how I can't help but love the prequels, even with any flaws that they have, and I certainly know that they are flawed. But even that, where I can recognize, well, sure, it's totally inconsistent to switch between those things. I don't really mind it. I think it works well enough to have the different styles of story, I guess, within the same movie. But I can also understand somebody being like, well, I don't want to watch a political drama and then watch Jar Jar, slip on a banana peel in the same movie. Those should be different from each other. And I think that's fair enough. That's a reasonable perspective to have. Even if I don't really share it myself. So here we have the bunker that our team of commandos is trying to break into. And of course, in this group of commandos fighting on Endor, we see, not in this game, but in the movie, we see an older man with a white beard wearing this forest print camo uniform of the rebels. And thanks to Dave Filoni in the Rebels TV show, we have had that character be sort of backfilled in, backdated almost to be Rex the clone, who survived the Clone Wars. And in the Rebels TV show, we see him wearing the forest print outfit, which is it doesn't really make any sense that he would have that exact outfit. That would then be used, like, I don't know, the timeline is Rebels months before this, or maybe a year or something. Oh no, because I guess in Rebels, we know that Luke is still a little kid, I think. Yeah, I think Rebels is a few years before the Battle of Yavin. So anyways, obviously they put Rex in that outfit just to be cute and be like, hey, Rex is actually this guy from the original movie. And I think that's a fine thing to do. Star Wars certainly has a history at this point of being like, oh hey, that random background character. I mean, it's the joke, right? Glup Shido or whatever. Turns out that he actually has a whole backstory that we've now filled in. And So, I don't know, it sort of is what it is. I think it's cute to say, oh, Rex was actually on the moon of Endor fighting the Empire, and he was that guy. That doesn't really bother me too much. But it is pretty silly to have put him in that forest outfit in order to make that point so long before the Battle of Endor. Because then it's like, I don't know, I mean, I know it's not meant to be analyzed closely, but if you do think about it, you're like, okay, so where did Rex get that outfit? And then, did he have that outfit? And then, Mon Mothma or somebody was like, oh, excuse me, Rex, that's a great forest camo uniform. Can you put me in touch with the supplier that made that? I'd like to equip the Rebel Army with that for operations on forest planets. Anyway, it's a little silly, but it's not really a big deal. I think there could have been a more subtle way of making that connection, but it's fine, it's whatever. It's just one of those things that Star Wars does now, where there always has to be these connections and these tie-ins and whatever. And Star Wars has been like that for years and years and years, right? As soon as all of the the original trilogy comes out, you've got all sorts of novelizations and stuff, and all these expansions of character lore, and we get all these stories about what the Clone Wars are, and who Boba Fett is, and Dengar, and all these people. That's just Star Wars for you. That's the kind of franchise that it is. So to me, it's one of those traits that sometimes it can be kind of annoying or feel a little silly, but it's just so much in the identity of Star Wars at this point that you just kind of have to laugh and take it for what it is. Oh yeah, Rex is wearing his outfit. This outfit from the Battle of Endor in Rebels, yeah, sure, whatever, okay. To be clear, I think it was in a literal sense, it was a stupid decision, because it just doesn't make sense for him to have that outfit at that point, even if that is him. But whatever. So we are working on getting these 4 levers. We have to pull 4 levers in the bunker to give us access to the shield generator area, and we will set some charges in there. There's a cool level in Star Wars Battlefront 2015 that is set, I guess not in this exact bunker, but in an Imperial facility designed like this, and there's a big room that has those shield generator pylons, I guess. Oops, and I just demonstrated there my classic inability to judge directions in these 3D games. I was flying too far towards the camera and missed the platform. Now we can build a little vent for Wicket to go is secured. So we can go back and throw this switch. And there we go. We're in, baby. We just build these charges. I like these pylons, these little generator pylons. They just have a cool design that I enjoy for some reason. My studs, not my studs. I like that little shoulder check that Chewbacca and Leia do there. It's kind of cute. Oh my god. Han just died. They just killed Han Solo. So after getting a couple new characters and getting 69% of True Jedi, nice. We can read the next title crawl. Is 69 passe now? I mean, now that 67 is sort of on the market as the hot new number meme. 69 getting the shaft a little bit, perhaps. Alright, episode 6, 7, Return of the Jedi, Chapter 5, Jedi Destiny. As the battle between Imperial and Rebel forces rages around the second Death Star, Luke Skywalker confronts Darth Vader, his father, once Anakin Skywalker. From boy slave on Tatooine to hero of the Clone Wars to Sith Lord, feared throughout the galaxy, Anakin Skywalker's path has been dark indeed. In front of Emperor Palpatine, his villainous master, Vader must now face his son and reclaim his fate. So here we have Luke turning himself in to the Empire. Still in his fashionable black garb. Darth Vader giving his lightsaber a little shake. Everybody laughs. There's that little Luke smile, that little smirk. Mark Hamill was a great choice for Luke. He's very boyish, very kind of naive in a sense also. Emperor Palpatine having to like slide off of his throne like that is pretty funny. But yeah, Mark Hamill's very boyish, very sort of gives off a naivete. But was also able to bring the sort of purity of heart that Luke needed. He was a great casting for Luke Skywalker. All the roles are cast really well, you know. They got a great group of actors to perform these characters. So we have a little trick here where or a returning facet where the enemy starts to shock one of the characters, and then the other character has to go make the to use a blow against them and break the lightning connection. We are fighting these red Imperial guards who have quite a bit of health, but now that we have Vader, we can just choke them out. Also, hooray, we have finally unlocked Darth Vader as a playable character. We finally have Vader himself first Sith that we've unlocked. I'm not sure if I've purchased like Darth Maul or whatever. Yeah, the Sith characters, there's a lot of Force objects throughout the world that can only be manipulated by Sith characters, so when you're doing free play, you need some Sith characters to activate those. Also, I'm just thinking again about the move sets. I don't know why, I don't know, I'm just so impressed by all of the move sets that they gave the different characters in this game. I know there's some repetitions, I'm sure, but, you know, for instance, like, when you're melee fighting with Han Solo, he does this whole, like, punching combo, whereas Lando does, like, a kicking-focused combo. And, you know, Princess Leia slaps them. And then with the lightsaber characters, many of them have very different lightsaber attack combos, or different double jump styles, and different down slams and such. And it would have been so easy for them, and, you know, I don't think that they would have gotten pushback or anything. Like, a game like this, at the time that it came out, there was no expectation that, you know, every character has to be unique. If they had just given all of the lightsaber characters the same combos, that would not have been a problem at the time. But they went the extra mile and did that. And it adds a great, it just adds a great charm to the game. The fact that when you play as Chewbacca, you rip the arms off of your enemies when you fight in melee. You know, it wouldn't have been a problem if Chewbacca's melee combo was just a punching combo, the same as like Han's or whatever. But they did something unique, and I really appreciate that. What is the solution to this puzzle? What am I doing wrong? How do you, you have to get all these things lit up at the same time. What's the situation here? I don't understand. Well, we're not going for completionism here, so we can afford to let that mini kit or whatever it was go uncollected. Maybe we can return to this game at some point and do free play runs and go for some completionism. If that happens, it definitely won't be soon, because I've had done a lot of episodes at this point of this game, which I've completely enjoyed. But it's good to have variety, and I've been doing a lot of Lego Star Wars The Complete Collection, so. But that could be a fun thing, maybe, you know, every once in a while return to this game and just knock out free play completionist runs on, you know, 3 missions or something, and slowly over time work on getting 100%. Realistically, I probably won't do that. realize how often in videos I talk about something like, oh, you know, it would be a fun video idea, I'm gonna do this, I'll do this, I'll do that, okay, and then I never do. I never do. But I just have this huge list of video ideas on the, in the notes app of my phone. And, sorry, I just got distracted for a minute. Here we have Vader saving the day. And with so many video ideas, it takes a while to get to them all, so all of my ideas, you know, take, just don't make that many. Anyway, we have the great moment here of, I want to see you with my own eyes. And there goes Vader. Goodbye, Anakin. Okay, also this moment is hilarious. I find this so funny. Luke plants a kiss on his forehead, and then he just lifts the landing ramp, and Vader's body just slides head first back into the ship. That tickles me. What can I say? What can I say? It tickles me. So Darth Vader, of course, casting Emperor Palpatine into the depths there. Emperor Palpatine dead once and for all. Right. I mean, that was the whole point of the Skywalker family line, right? You know, Anakin's fall to darkness and his return to the light. Capped by his return to his son, his defense of his son, and his killing of his Sith Lord Master. Surely we wouldn't negate all of that. Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, Chapter 6, Into the Death Star. With help from the Ewoks, the rebels have finally managed to destroy the Death Star shield generator on Endor. In the sky above, the rebel fleet has come under intense fire from Imperial craft and the Death Star itself. Many ships have been destroyed. But General Endor is now able to lead the final assault of the Empire's ultimate weapon and pilot the Millennium Falcon deep into its dark heart. Deep into its dark heart. Now, we have 9 up here, and Lando Calrissian, Admiral Akbar, of course. There they go into hyperspace, the Rebel fleet. The Rebel fleet. They all arrive and are facing down a fleet of Star Destroyers. Here we go. So, now we have to fly around collecting torpedoes and destroy all of the Star Destroyers. But yeah, obviously the death of Palpatine is not permanent, and you can't even really lay this entirely at Disney's feet. The idea of cloning Palpatine is not a new one, If you are a fan of Legends, you will know that. But, you know, I might as well talk a little bit about the new trilogy, the Disney sequel trilogy, and talk a little bit about my critiques of that this Lego Star Wars series has, it's been kind of a platform for me to rattle off my long-held opinions on Star Wars. And I think thus far I have largely avoided the topic of the sequel trilogy. So, there's far too much to say in, one short video like this. Each of the movies could be talked about for hours and hours and critiqued and analyzed and such, but I think for me, one of the most significant things, one of the biggest sins that the sequel trilogy commits is sort of disrespecting the work that came before, the narrative of the original and prequel trilogy. And there's all sorts of major sins you could talk about, right? From a production standpoint, from a behind-the-scenes standpoint. From that angle, my biggest issue with the sequel trilogy is that there was not a unified vision behind it. So I like this little bit here. Bit of physical comedy there with Nine Nub slapping Lando's hand away. So yeah, because they were switching, like, movie showrunners or whatever you would call it, creative directors, not only literally the directors, but the screenwriters and such, there was nobody in the driver's seat mapping out the arc of the trilogy. Even taking it movie by movie with one cohesive artistic perspective. So what you ended up with were 3 movies that sort of whiplashed in direction, and, honestly, like, I would have preferred, I wish that the sequel trilogy was at least something. The biggest problem with it, from like a higher level perspective, is that the sequel trilogy does not exist. And what I mean by that is that with no guiding artistic vision, what you end up with is just like slop. You just end up, it's not the right way of putting it. What you end up with is a disjointed, meaningless collection of movies. Each movie on its own is sort of trying to do something, but as a collection, as a trilogy, they are saying nothing because they were not created as a trilogy. They were created as 3 individual movies that were trying to tie into each other from one to the next. But in the sense of, like, I have a different interpretation of how this story should go, and so I'm going to do things differently from how the previous movie was doing it. So anyway, that's the biggest sin in terms of production. I would have preferred how do I put this? I would have preferred a sequel trilogy that I thought was worse in many ways if it at least was a unified artistic idea. Because then at least you could sort of critique it as a body of work. But it's not. It's this confused mess of self-contradictory ideas. Nothing's unified, nothing's working together. And so it's just nothing from the get-go. But that aside and trying to actually look at the trilogy as a piece of art. My biggest problem with it is that the original trilogy is about a father and a son. It's about the Skywalker family. Not just a father and a son, right, but also Leia, so a father and his children. But sort of very, very specifically about Vader and Luke, because Leia is important, but Luke obviously becomes the Jedi and is the one that confronts Vader and returns him to the light. So it's about that Skywalker family. It's about a father that has been lost to evil and how he comes back. The prequel trilogy, George Lucas shows us how this man fell to evil in the first place. He shows us the story of the corruption of Anakin Skywalker. And so then when you take the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy together, you end up with a sort of cohesive narrative where it's about Anakin, right? It is the rise of this good-hearted man with love in his heart, how he became corrupted, and then how his family brought him back to the light, and he redeemed himself in his final moments. So what do you do with a sequel trilogy, right? How do you fit a sequel trilogy into that arc? The story is fundamentally about Anakin Skywalker and his family. Well, I'm sure there's lots of interesting things you could do there, right? But one thing, that I've always thought is like, it would be appropriate. I actually really like part of how they did the sequel trilogy. What I love about the sequel trilogy in particular is Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren. Okay? Kylo Ren is the son of Han Solo and Princess Leia. He is Anakin's grandson. And what this means, the creative space that this creates, is the prequel trilogy is about how Anakin became Darth Vader. The original trilogy is about how Darth Vader became Anakin once again, how he was redeemed. And then the sequel trilogy could be about Anakin's legacy. How is Anakin remembered? What does Anakin's grandson think of him? Right? That to me makes sense. That is a smart approach to doing a sequel trilogy to Star Wars. Because if you're doing a mainline sequel, a trilogy in the Skywalker saga, then that sequel trilogy needs to in some way be about Anakin. Now he's dead, and so he's not going to be there directly. But the presence of Kylo Ren as a grandson who is obsessed with his grandfather's legacy is incredibly ripe territory to continue that Skywalker arc. And I thought that Kylo Ren was sort of brilliantly conceived. Now, unfortunately, the movies, of course, are in many ways terrible, and they fall flat, and they disappoint, and they don't live up to their potential. But what I conceptually is that he is a man who looked up to his grandfather when his grandfather was evil, right? Because, think about it, we think of Darth Vader as being redeemed at the end of his life. But what does the galaxy think of Darth Vader? Nobody knows that. Nobody knows that Darth Vader was redeemed. I mean, and also we could even have a conversation about if they should even care, right? Okay, so in his last 5 minutes he became a good guy. So what? He committed atrocities in the galaxy for years. But put that aside, right? Nobody in the galaxy knows that Anakin came back to the light side. To all of them, he is still just Darth Vader, right? He is the epitome of evil in the galaxy. And power. And so it is so appropriate that Kylo Ren thinks of his grandfather as an evil, powerful man, right? But I mean, evil, he thinks of him as a Sith, he admires him, he looks up to him because he was a Sith. And so the beautiful arc that Kylo should have had, which, I mean, he kind of did, is for him to look up to Darth Vader and think that what made Darth Vader special was his hatred and his power and his mastery of the dark side. And then what you find out, what Kylo comes to find out, is that no, what made Darth Vader special was the fact that he returned to the light. You know? Also, because the video is running a little short, I think we're going to do a little, like a character bonus game or something. The one where you have to collect enough studs. But look at this, this is a little family gathering here. We've got, well, Leia just walked away, but we had Vader, Luke, and Leia. So, anyway, to get back to my sequel rambling, Kylo Ren, which, by the way, I do think he's the best part of the sequel trilogy. Like, I think for all of the wasted potential, he's still a pretty solid character, and he goes on a great arc. So, anyway, my idea of how it ends for him is, he realizes that the legacy of Darth Vader was not his evil. The legacy of Darth Vader was his return to the light. And so you can have Kylo Ren return to the light because of the lessons of Darth Vader. And in that way, the sequel trilogy remains about the Skywalkers at its core, right? At its core, the first 6 Star Wars movies are a family drama. And the sequel trilogy should have been about that as well at its core. Of course, there's a lot of other stuff going on in Star Wars, right? I mean, you have, like the Galactic Civil War and all the politics in the prequels and yada yada, but at its core, that's what Star Wars is. And in The Rise of Skywalker, the terrible last installment of the sequel trilogy, my vision of how it should have ended is that Anakin appears to Kylo. Don't get me wrong, I thought it was sweet that Han Solo appeared. That's a lovely image, but also, like, it doesn't make sense. Han Solo can't be a Force ghost. I mean, even if that's even what's supposed to be going on there, like, he's not blue. Sorry, not to be so, like, lore-brained or whatever, but it doesn't, like, even from a sort of poetic standpoint, like, Han Solo, he's a great character, but he never learned the Force. He never became a Jedi. That shouldn't have been who Kylo Ren talked to. Kylo should have encountered Darth Vader himself, right? He should have encountered the Force ghost of Anakin Skywalker. And then Kylo gets to have a conversation with the Sith that he admires, the Sith that he envisions himself to be, right? The Sith that he is modeling himself after. And what does he learn when he talks to Anakin? You've got it all wrong, my grandson. You know, it wasn't my hatred that made me powerful. My hatred made me weak. My love made me powerful. And then Kylo, who has at that point has killed his father, right, in the first movie, he killed Han Solo. And he has sort of been struggling to kill his family. At that point, you know, Kylo is confronted with the fact that his idol, his grandfather, is telling him, you're wrong. And that could have been the sort of turning point for Kylo's character. And it would have brought Anakin in just enough, right? Because the sequel trilogy should have been about his legacy. So anyway, you know, that's, there's way more things to talk about there. Obviously Palpatine shouldn't have come back, because that sort of invalidates Anakin's return to the light. Not entirely, but like, what is the thing that brings Anakin back to the light? It is Palpatine killing Luke, and Darth Vader returns to the light by killing Palpatine to save his son. But then in the sequel trilogy, you just bring Palpatine back, which I know was just J.J. Abrams, you know, in the last quarter, just doing something stupid, but, obviously Palpatine shouldn't have come back, because it makes Anakin's sacrifice, meaningless to a large degree. So, yeah, there are way more issues to be talked about. There are endless problems with the sequel trilogy that we could yammer about for days and days, right? But for me, if I could have just slipped like a one-sentence command, if you could get like one short sentence into Disney headquarters, right, and be like, you have to try to implement this in the new Star Wars trilogy, my short sentence would be like, it should be about the legacy of Anakin. And again, they kind of did that in some ways with Kylo, and I think, as I've said, Kylo is by far the best part of the sequel trilogy. You know, when you think about characters that are interesting, what you're thinking about is, you know, in general, you're thinking about characters that go on a journey. Characters are interesting when they change. Characters are interesting when they are different at the end of the story than they are at the beginning. his own stuff going on, sort of. There's like, characters are going through journeys, kind of. Rey learns how to be a Jedi, I guess, but like, that's not really a compelling change from an emotional perspective. That's not the kind of thing that, like, becoming a Jedi isn't a character arc. It's the things that happen to you to become a Jedi, or that you learn while you're becoming a Jedi. That's what's interesting. Luke isn't interesting because he became a Jedi. Luke is interesting because of the lessons that he learned and the changes to his, his personality and his ideology, because of what he learned becoming a Jedi. So, anyway, Kylo Ren he's far and away the best part of the sequel trilogy. And, yeah, if I could have sort of made one change, like issued one order, it would be focus the sequel trilogy on Darth Vader, on his legacy, on Anakin's legacy, and sort of therefore, you would naturally focus more on Kylo as his grandson. But obviously, if you get into specifics, if you really want to drill down, there are so many problems with the sequel trilogy that you could talk about. But anyway, I will stop my ranting, my crazed rambling, my raving about Star Wars. I have yammered long enough to get us to about an hour, and we played through that little bonus area, so with all that in mind, thank you for joining me. I don't know what we have coming up next. As always, I will figure that out, and whatever it is, I will see you next time. But we'll just grab a few more studs. I always like to build this little like satellite array thing out here. It gives you a nice handful of studs for very little work. We have the gold bricks over there. I do think I'm definitely going to return to this game to explore the bonus content. They have like little Lego City areas, and some of the old missions, which I was talking about the Republic ship one on Geonosis, and how much harder I had it in my memory, and there's a reason for that I recalled. But I'll talk about that in the bonus content episode. But for now, my friends, thank you so much for joining me for the conclusion to our trip through LEGO Star Wars, the complete collection. Until next time, please take care of yourselves, and I will do the same.